Ka moana hoholu I ka lewa nu I ka hihina ai I ka
Aloha pono and your audience. My name is Michael Kumukauoha Lee, and I was taught to be a papakilo hopu and also taught to be a Kahuna Lapaauokekaiolimu, which is a practitioner of the seaweed medicine, and also Kahuna Omaka, which is how you see the rhythms of nature and how they impact us. So it's very important for us to observe what's happening around us. The sea sings to us and it tells us a story. It sings a song, but do we use our eyes, Kahuna Omaka, to see the colors, to see the different species of limu that are out there? And in the appropriate months of the year, they're telling us a story of what's happening in the ocean out there. Is it La Nina or El Nino? Is it too acidy? Has there been a drought and there's not enough fresh water running through the aquifers, enriching the ocean in our cultural practice? So it's really important for us as practitioners to know the fundamentals of what makes limu so special. And we start with our vai. Our vai from the mountains, our fresh water, is the source of all of our cultural practice. Whether you're talking lo'i, whether you're talking fishing, or whether you're talking picking the limu. And the vai comes down to us from the mountains through the water cycle of the rain, and comes to the rivers as vai, the treasure that we have. And then it comes down to the mid-range source before you get to the freshwater estuaries, and we have Auwai. Auwai is the brackish water term, and that brackish water term says there's a mixing takes place here as you get down to the ocean between your freshwater sources of streams and rivers and your springs. And then as we pass the Auwai, we get to the Kai, the saltwater ocean. But it's the Auwai that we're particularly interested because that's where the magic begins. That's where all life blossoms and blooms. So let's go to the ocean. Okay, the Mavavai ceremony that we Hawaiians use to clear the path. Mavavai is your path that you're walking through life. We want to call upon your akua, your aumakua, to connect with the child in the womb, to stick to them so that all good things will come and your first child will not be an obstruction for your second or your third, and their life's path will be open to them. So the thought is a complete cycle process, that in their juvenile state, that they have no obstruction in life, that their life is open to them, that they have the best possible opportunity. And so how do the Hawaiians pick those sacred qualities? They come to the ocean. They see the o'opu that is crawling and sticking, the o'opu aha'aina, that sticks to the side. No matter what the waves pound or what the wind blows, it doesn't move them from their path. They're clear to keep on going no matter what obstructions and obstacles are put before their path. That is the quality as we Kahuna of the ocean want to impart to our children and their survival strategy in the future. So the Mavavai ceremony clicks in so that your akua, your God, your aumakua, your protective guardian angel spirit, will be with you to help clear your path. And so it's free that the future generations coming behind of siblings, brothers and sisters will also have that clear path, and that child be born safely, strong and healthy, and be able to achieve the goal that they are put on the earth for. And it happens here at the place where all the magic begins, the abundance of life and the abundance of opportunity that was created. Think about it. Captain Cook came here in 1778. 1,200,000 Hawaiians living off of the land in harmony with the cycles of nature, not obstructing, not polluting, but being part of enriching the abundance of opportunity and life. That is the secret of what made Hawaiians so great. And that secret has to be passed on, or we miss one of the greatest treasures that we have. And that treasure we stand on, which is the shoulders of our iwi kupuna, our platinum, our gold. As we, the na iwi ola, the living bones, make our cycle to join our ancestors, we have to impart this great knowledge before it's all gone, because it enriches the opportunity for us to do our best. And that is what the greatest gift that we have to pass on to future generations. So in that mavavai ceremony, there is a mavavai limu. There are limus that are sacred. The limus have aumakuas as well. The aumakua of the limu is hina lau limu kala. The aumakua of the coral is kane pili kua. The woman and the man together cling to each other. And as they do, we have coral medicines. The coral medicines help heal during the time of reproduction. This whole cycle of reproduction also happened for the Hawaiians in certain months, and the months were makali'i. Makali'i is the bringing of abundance, but also it sets up a time of plenty where your child, when given birth, will have the best opportunity to grow and to survive. If it's born in a time of scarcity, the child won't get enough food and water. So Hawaiians always did family planning, and they didn't willy-nilly have children at any time of the month, lest that child not get all the food and all the water because of the stinginess of the season and the closing of the heavens and the water cycle coming to a very small trickle, and the opportunity for food and sustenance would close off. It was always focused on the opportunity of abundance and life, and that's what our culture is for. And our kokua limu is very interesting because the invasive limus from outside of Hawaii seek to destroy everything around them. They don't work together. Isn't that a prophecy of what has happened to Hawaii? Is that invasive ideas of me first, money only, destroy, build, drill baby drill. It doesn't matter. We lose so much of what makes us special. And what makes us special? In Western technology, they call it intellectual property rights. Hawaiians mourn the loss of their land in the situation we know of the occupation of our kingdom that is going on today. But what is really sad is Hawaiians don't take a book from the J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. In the Lord of the Rings, they're underneath the depths of the earth, and the giant fire-breathing monster is chasing them. And the wizard, the gray wizard, comes before them with his staff and says, "You cannot pass." And he says, he makes a stand. Okay, in our culture, think of it, Bill Gates and the intellectual property rights that has brought hundreds of billions to that company that we know that Bill Gates founded. Well, imagine all of our Hawaiian intellectual property rights pooled together. We could buy back all our lands and not beg for what belongs to us. Billions and billions of dollars. We haven't lost anything if we haven't lost our culture. And it's housed in the Kumu lipo. All 15 was hold like a fan our culture together. The secret is, yes, I was taught the 6,000 kaunas of it. And it's my life's work to teach and bring it out so that we have the keys. It's the Christmas tree from with all other chants are ornaments that are placed and are sparkling lights for each wa. So there's such great abundance of opportunity for us, and it's not a time to say, "Aoe pa aole," it's all gone. No, that's not true. It's still there. And we will take you through the path of laying it out for you one by one and show you how it's all interconnected. It's not gone. It has to be Eala Eala, woken up. Our Hawaiian people are sleeping now. They don't recognize the value of their culture. Papa Bray, famous master hula chanter in the 1950s and 60s, he did it the old-fashioned way. The true way of being a chanter is akua noho. The ancient ones from the past exercise your body as a hale to come in, and they do the chanting. And so when Papa Bray would do the chanting, other chanters would say to him, "Oh, Papa, the syntax, what you said was amazing. What was it?" And he said, "I don't know." Because the visitor from the past, the chanters, came in and used his body to impart the knowledge. That's how we kahunas, in our dreams, we cross over into the other realm. Akaku, standing visions. Those are our true cultural practices, guaranteed to us in the state constitution, Article 12, Section 7, that the state shall not regulate or destroy Hawaiian cultural practice. So the call comes out, Eala Eala, what is your greatest strength as a Hawaiian? Know your genealogy, you cannot pass. From there, all your mana comes. It is what we stand on, the shoulders of our iwi kupuna, and their knowledge and strength that gave us the cultural practice in all land titles of my fourth great-grandfather, Kamehameha III, allodial land claims, higher than freehold or fee simple, forever and in perpetuity. Hawaiians who lived in that area that had the royal patent allodial land claims can never be pushed off the land to practice their Hawaiian cultural practice, ever. Grandpa sewed it in that we shall not be destroyed. Our cultural practice shall continue, but we have to pass it on. So we're here to pass it on. Let's go to the ocean and pass it on. We have seaweeds here, kaupau. We have seaweed growing over there, which is limu kohu. Limu kohu, I go to Kaiser and I help the people who have gastric bypass. After the operation, all their hormones are not in balance. The resonant frequency is all off. And in our limu, it brings it back. And where they can't eat food and get sick of the smells, and it's very hard for them to digest food and they don't want to smell or look, if they eat limu kohu 3 times a day, it puts all their internal balance of chemicals so that all of a sudden it comes back to balance and they start getting hungry again. They start eating again, like a miracle, from months and months of not wanting to smell or taste food, where we cultural practitioners always knew that it puts your hormones in balance. In fact, we have a limu that's highly praised by the gods, Lee.m4v, that is forbidden, kapu, to wear it in a lei if you're pregnant. Why? Through the skin, it changes a woman's hormones that is producing the baby. That's the secret that most practitioners will never tell anybody the why. So I'm telling you the why. And why is it important? Because when we're talking about growth in human development, there are many things in our limu and our cultural practice that Western medicine hasn't even come upon. Like our coral limus, our coral and our limus have antibiotic qualities. As we know, antibiotics today are losing their strength and they're dying to look for different antibiotics because they become resistant to the strains that are overtaking, and now the arsenal of antibiotics are falling, which means it's critical in Western medicine to know what kind of medicines will continue the arsenal of fighting diseases, bacteria, and viruses. We have them in the ocean. They protect each other. They kukua, which is a value, a Hawaiian cultural value. Like when we come to the beach as a Kahuna okekai and Kahuna omaka, and we see the shells, I already know and expect what kind of shells to be brought up by the tide, because as we come into the full moon of Akua and Hoku and Mahialani, the tides will bring up the leho, the heavy shells. So I already know what's going to be here before I get here. when I get to the ocean and I see what kind of trees are growing around the sand, I know what kind of seaweed is already in the water. That's in the Kumu Lipo, where we have limus and trees, ferns and organisms carrying the same name. Why? They have a protective quality. We have Aweoweo seaweed and Aweoweo fishes in the ocean. We have Aweoweo hulia or taro. We have Aweoweo coal in the mountains. Why? They're uniquely connected through qualities of the harmonic resonance that they carry on, and we use it for medicine. It is that matching that frequency. As you know, when a high C pitch breaks glass, it shatters glass because the resonant wavelength is equaling the resonance of the glass, and the glass will shatter. That's how medicine works. That's how, when you match the frequency to the disease in the right frequency, it doesn't hurt the host body, but it destroys the disease. That's what's going on in the medicinal practices. We use all kinds of sea creatures. We mix them together. We have a limu in the ocean, 2 limus in the ocean, that when we mix together become a Valium, and it has a drug effect. But then it has the same name plant, Hawaiian plant in the mountain, that when you take that, it's the antidote and counteracts that resonant frequency. It's a quality. That quality neutralizes or makes Noah the kapu of what the key to this resonant frequency. So the same thing with our Ava ceremony. There's a resonant frequency that matches, and it goes through the doorway of water. Water, as I said, is the source of all of our cultural practices. Where there's water, there is life. So if we don't protect this water from the mountain to the sea, what good is it to restore all your fish ponds, your eye, and you haven't done the proper management protection in the mountains? Hawaiians used to use heiaus in the mountains and heiaus in here at the sand. What am I talking about, heiaus? I'm talking about terraces. Terraces that increased and expand the opportunity of stopping erosion so that the clean water stayed clean from the mountain to the sea. So that meant it would increase the opportunity of abundance in life, where the magic begins at the freshwater estuaries. So when we take the cycles of nature by Kahuna o Maka, seeing and observing what works the best, we implement a structure that we're taught by nature, what works the best. It has its own regulatory system. It has, you know, most people don't know that Hawaiian fish ponds are a heiau. It's a living, breathing temple of life. And at the source of this heiau is either a spring or a stream. As I said, that's the center of the flow of life, like the flow of our body and our heart pumping and going and bringing nutrients and oxygen to our body. Same thing with the Hawaiian fish pond. It brings the nutrients and oxygen and that aowai, the mix that is necessary. And so what do Hawaiians do? They build a permeable structure, the wall, that breathes. They don't seal it off like concrete, because our skin is not like concrete. Our eyes are not concrete. They breathe. Same thing. Fishes, anything living, their skin breathes. So our heiaus of the sea, our fish ponds breathe, and it has a circulatory system. It has the idea of ku and hina, the male and the female, and then the kane wahine that come together when the two meet, high tide, low tide. So all the philosophies of what they saw that created abundance, they continued in a microcosm of a small biosphere that we call Hawaiian fish ponds. But it didn't just happen at the sea. They made sure at the mountain the water source was protected all the way down. But they crafted it so that the usage of water from the mountain to the sea was taken full advantage of without destruction or pollution to feed 1.2 million people without destroying abundance, without polluting the ocean. How did they deal with their waste? Waste is always kept solid, buried, not mixed with water where bacteria and viruses can increase and spread and destroy. Why aren't we using that today? Because we're seeing everybody getting sick today, where that didn't happen in ancient times because they didn't mix that with water and allow it to get to the sea with 1.2 million people at that time. So did we lose something more valuable than what we think we gain with technology today? This is open for a dialogue that has to continue from this generation to the next generation. So as we get back to the fish ponds in Molokai, why aren't they being reopened? Why are they closed down? Why does the state system want a welfare state on Molokai, not a healthy, vibrant community based on their traditional cultural practices guaranteed in Article 12, Section 7? The answer is, it is easier to control the people who have their hand out all the time and are begging for what is their basic God-given rights, inalienable rights by the Constitution of the United States. But you can't subjugate them unless they're weak, unless they're needy, unless they have pauaole, nothing no more. And you're the only one that can keep the hand on the wheel, control everything, control the system of power and opportunity, use the government to guarantee people who are greedy to misuse the resources. And this is heva to our teaching and our philosophy. It doesn't match what causes the abundance in nature. It is an anathema. It is a darkness and a cancer to what increases abundance, because you don't steal and take away. One of the reasons we have problems today with fishing is because the konehiki system was abolished in 1970. And fishermen, whether you're on Waianae or whether you're out at Hawaii Kai, we're never allowed to go fishing anytime, anywhere, any place, anyhow. That's my God-given right. In ancient times, they'd chop your head off. They'd smash you at one blow if you didn't follow the rule. What was the rule? Increase in abundance. Things have to rest. We have cycles of lo'i, so that when the fish ponds are resting, the lo'is are online. The fishing out at sea is online when the lo'i is resting. All things work interconnected together. That's the cycle of true increase of abundance. We didn't hoard together and breed artificial fish to make money in sea cages out at sea that bring disease because they're bred to grow fast, grow big, but does not reflect the natural cycles and properties in life. So instead of increasing abundance, they bring disease and they destroy our fisheries. So eala, time to wake up. How did we do it? We mixed and matched fish. We had colorful fish that are cleaner wrasses, that clean. We made heiaus in the heiaus to bring the limu that brought in the shrimp, that brought in smaller forms of life. And that smaller forms of life brought in other forms of life that ate it. And the cycle goes up the food chain. So we mimic what worked in nature. We didn't say we knew everything and we know better. No, we worked with the cycle, the natural cycle. And that's how we fed 1.2 million people. And we just didn't do it on fish. We just didn't do it on bananas or sweet potato. We used everything in the arsenal. And to use everything, you had to manage it properly. So there were kapus and there were konehikis to manage the cycle. And things that were kapu were done so that the biggest breeders, the time of breeding, would not destroy the abundance. Now, today, it's kind of funny because people are saying on Molokai, hey, you know, a lot of work putting back these heiaus, these fish ponds. But they forget, when Kamehameha had his fish ponds back in Pearl Harbor, those fish ponds, how did they manage it? They used the Hawaiian poisons. They didn't spend endless calories going in there trying to catch fish with the net. No, they knocked them out and scooped them up. They had better things to do in the day. How come we forgot that? How come that the poisons that we use are not toxic to it? It's an anesthetic that doesn't affect us, but knocks out the fish, so we don't have to use tons of calories in getting them, So we're so skinny and dying that we can't even eat the fish. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's not how it was done. They used poisons, and when we use poisons, that word is actually a misnomer. It's actually anesthetics that knocked out the fish that we kept captive, and sometimes 5,000 people would come down and they would knock them out and they would put them in their baskets and then salt them or eat them that night, or puleho or lavalu in the heiau. So the strategies have to be clearly thought through. In our Hawaiian papakilohoku, the stars, what people don't understand is Kane, the god of water and abundance, is standing on Kamapua's hindquarters. And in Kane's forehead, 2 stars, it's Kane and Kanaloa, but they have multiple names. One of the names is Makohelani for Kane, it's a blue star called Al Gold. And surrounding it is a big red gas giant, and that's called Makaha. And what is Makaha? Makaha is the gate that opens abundance. Kanaloa is always the god of the ocean. And so the Kanaloa moon of the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, these 2 stars, they say, are fighting stars. They go around. It takes 6 days to make a complete rotation. And the kahunas of the ocean notice that in Kane's face, they're fighting all the time. Sometimes it's red, that's Kanaloa, and then sometimes it's blue, and that's Kane. And they noticed that the fish in the ocean were on this cosmic time clock that they saw in the sky. And it matched the coming of the fishes from the ocean mating in the freshwater estuaries and increasing abundance. So they said, well, Kane is telling us and Kanaloa is telling us what the natural cycle is for the Makaha, when to open the gates, when to close the gates, of increasing the opportunity of abundance. The balance comes in when you balance the scales. What is your motive and what is your action? Simple, plain, simple ideas that are not too complicated, but have worked for millennia, going back to Vakea, the father of the Kapu system. So in the skies, we have heiaus, we have lo'is, we have the blueprint, which is called the Aka shadow, the Aka, the blueprint of how God constructed everything. So that's where we get our canoes, our 6 canoes and their different designs from up in the sky. Our lo'is are 5 heiaus that are up in the sky. We have the house of bones in the sky. And then we have the house of teeth in the sky. We have Nu'u towers in the sky where the moon comes in and Ku is seen. So it's a regulative time clock in the heavens that was used to see what the rhythms of the moon and how it affected the tide, the wind, and the magma. Hina ike ahi, the moon in the flames, also known as Pele. That's her sacred sky-form body. So all of these things are interconnected and cannot be separated, because if we do, we break the cycle. Everything is a cycle in life. Everything is a process. And we have to go through that process that worked. Why would they do this if it didn't work? So where we've gone to now is we have to take you now through a series of walks and through a series of time, because Limu is seasonal. They don't wake up all at one time. Limu comes in the different months. People say, well, Hawaii is always summer, you know, and Hawaiians have it down as the seasons of Ho'ilo and Kau, the summer months. Kaulana nui o Kane. Kane goes to bed during the summertime. And Ho'ilo is a time of awakening when Kane is in the sky during the winter months. So this process of finding what months are the most scarce limus that are medicine, it's in February. 2 weeks, 2-week window opens up for those sacred limus that are very scarce. And of course, what wakes up the limu is the temperature of the water, the salinity, the nutrients, the dust factor. Some limus go to bed for 10 years. I don't see them for a decade. And then, awe, eala, they wake up one day from the hiamoe, and we find them where we thought they were gone. So nothing ever leaves. It goes to sleep for a time. But what we notice here in Ewa is a lot of limu has disappeared from the house of limu. we know that the construction that takes all our freshwater resources has diminished our limu from being thick on the beach to now that when you walk you can barely see it. So it's time for us to do something. We see invasive lemurs attacking here. If proper management plans are not done within 20 years, this will look like Oneula Bay. The same invasive lemur is taking over here in Oneula, but nothing is being done or planned. And they only plan when it's all too late and overrun. So the call is going out now, Eala, and it's time for us to put together a management plan to manage our resources. And we have to bring back the konahiki cycle of having konahikis who are experts in the management practice and management cycle, that you cannot fish anytime you feel like it and say, well, that's my cultural practice. No, you're ignorant about your cultural practice, because if you go back, you find out that nobody could go anytime, anywhere that they decided to go. And that's why we're in trouble today. That's why we're losing all our fisheries, because the konahiki system was dismantled. And everything that was dismantled has brought down our cultural practice. And isn't it ironic that Article 12, Section 7 says we will not regulate or we will not destroy the Hawaiian cultural practice or practitioner? And yet, the opposite is happening. So I question, who are the gatekeepers? Who are the key watchers? And what is their real motive? Is it to increase the opportunity of abundance on Hawaiians? Or they always complain, oh, what a welfare bunch of people, always sucking off the state. Who doesn't want them to rebuild their heiaus on Maui and Molokai? It takes 19 agencies to approve repairing one wall. Why are these obstructions put forth? So that Hawaiians are not successful. Because if you have a successful group of Hawaiians, you can't control them. And that's what it's all about. Who's in control? You got to think about that. That's what's really on the table. Let's put some skin on the table, stand up and do something. Eala, the call is coming out. Are you going to step up and be part of the solution? Or are you going to continue and whine and paua'ole where it doesn't exist? The answers are there, but do you want to get involved? Where are all our sovereignty groups from 400 plus? Now we don't even know what's going on. So what's going on? Let's get with the program, man. Time is running out, and if you let it go, it's on your head, because the word ignorance means active. I'm ignoring it. Not that I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to get involved. I got to put food on the table. I don't have any time. Please don't bother me. I have more important things to do. And so what do we have? A lot of Hawaiians moving to the mainland, whether Texas or Nevada or Carson, California, in droves, because they're running after the value of the United States of the almighty dollar. And what do we see 30 years later? Oh, wait, I don't belong up there. I have this big black hole inside of me. I'm being called to come back to the ocean, to the mana. I want to learn. I want to learn. And they come back and everybody says, paua'ole, walls are broken down. We don't know. Who cares? And they're coming and they're starving inside. Well, let me tell you, what you just heard, it ain't dead. So let's get with the program, man, and let's do more of these walks so that we can see and open the doors of increasing the opportunity of abundance for everyone, because that's the legacy. Don't you want wealth, health, happiness, peace, joy, and love in mind, body, and spirit? How does a society flourish to 1.2 million if they don't have wealth, health, happiness, peace, joy, and love in mind, body, and spirit? That's the true value set that has been forgotten. So until next time, we're going to say, hang in there and stick with us, because we're going to take you through an interesting journey. Mahalo.
Yala kalai kahikina ika moana honu kalai kahikina ika moana honu ka lewa nu. I ka hikina ai ai ka